Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to a brand new video. So as you can see from today's title, this is a bit of a different video for me and something that I've never had to make before, but I have mentioned over on my other socials, in my vlogs, about my recent celiac disease diagnosis. And since then, a fair few people have asked me to do a video on my symptoms, how I got diagnosed, etc. So that is today's video. Firstly, just want to say, if I sound really husky and bunged up, I haven't been very well over the past few days. So yeah, I'm on the road to recovery, but I'm not 100% yet. But I really wanted to get this video out today for you. So here we are. If you do enjoy it, don't forget to give it a like. Don't forget to comment if any of these symptoms relate to you, if this helps you. I really hope that this video helps at least one person. God, having the flu was not fun, guys. But we're going to get straight into this video and I really hope it is informative, it helps someone. Because also, since saying that I was diagnosed with this, loads of people have been saying that they relate to my symptoms, because I did actually do a TikTok and a Instagram reel on this. But this is going to be more of an in-depth video. So let's get on with it. The first thing that I'm going to do is read to you what the definition of celiac disease is. I had no idea, like I'd heard of it, but I didn't know what it was. And when they said that I could potentially have this, I was Googling non-stop. It says here, celiac disease is a condition where your immune system attacks your own tissues when you eat gluten. It stops you from taking in nutrients. So firstly, I'm going to talk about my experience with this, obviously not knowing what it was or how to stop it. And I feel like if you are a regular subscriber, you will have heard me say in so many vlogs over so many years that I wasn't feeling myself. I wasn't feeling 100%. I was feeling quite ill a lot of the time and I always had some kind of health issue. And I used to feel so annoying saying that, because I didn't want to come on here and be like, oh, I've got another migraine, oh, I'm not feeling well. And I just felt like I was getting boring and I was boring myself, but I was also very frustrated because I didn't know what was causing it, and everything that I had been tested for previously had all come back that there was nothing to worry about. So I was just like, I'm not making this up. But I don't know, I didn't want people to think I was making it up and I felt really frustrated with it. So I'm going to talk about some of the symptoms that I experienced. I started to feel really unwell probably around 2020. It was lockdown and I did keto. For all of my regular subscribers, you'll know that I lost a fair bit of weight and I was feeling really good within myself. But when I got taken off a furlough and I went back into the office, I stopped doing keto. I found it too hard to like manage. I think I did it for like a few months maybe and then I stopped. And I started to feel so unwell. If you don't know what keto is, it's where you don't eat any carbs. It's a low carb, high fat diet. And basically I wasn't eating any carbs whatsoever. I was just eating like meat, fish, vegetables, things like that. Cheese, I loved my cheese. So obviously going back into the office, I found it difficult to maintain, so I stopped doing it. And I really started to feel unwell. I was feeling quite sick a lot. I had really bad stomach problems, very bad bloating. And looking back on it, I should have probably put two and two together, but not knowing, I didn't know what celiac disease was. I didn't know that that was a thing that could cause so many health problems within your body. And I was also experiencing really bad migraines. Now, I'd experienced migraines since probably the age of 15, so I didn't really think anything of it. I actually went for an MRI scan, like a brain MRI, because I was getting migraines practically every single day. They were really, really bad and they would not go away until I went to sleep. And sometimes even then they wouldn't go away. I was experiencing like 2-day, 3-day migraines and it was so exhausting. I was just so fed up. It got to the point where my doctors were like, you need to list like when you're having these migraines, how long for, and I've still got my list. I actually came across it the other day and it was full. It was like nearly every single day, or if not every other day. But again, didn't think anything of it because I'd been experiencing these since I was about 15. The doctors just kept saying it was stress. My MRI came back clear. They were just like, you're stressed. And I'm like, well, how stressed can I be? Because I'm getting them all the time. Now, also around this time, I was diagnosed with IBS because I was having really bad stomach problems, TMI, but like diarrhea, things like that. Always just having stomach pains, like cramps, such bad cramps. And I was really embarrassed by this. Like, I know that it's nothing to be embarrassed about, but as females, I feel like, I don't know, we're always expected to be like ladylike. I don't know, I was just really embarrassed by it, and it was really affecting my work. My anxiety was sky high. I was having panic attacks. It was just not a good time in my life. Now, also around this time, I was experiencing extreme fatigue. I was really tired all the time. No matter how much sleep I was getting, I was waking up still not feeling refreshed, and I was just exhausted. I was drained. And again, doctors said that this was due to anxiety, stress, just things that I just knew that that wasn't right. So we'll skip to this year. It was getting ridiculous how unwell I was feeling. I was also getting extreme pain, like I was getting really bad back pain, shoulder pain, still very bad cramps in the stomach area. I just felt like my body was shutting down. That is literally how I described it to people. I feel like my body is shutting down and it's just giving up. So there's a picture of how I was feeling. Just not great. I just felt like it was really getting in the way of my everyday life. I wanted to be doing things, I wanted to be exercising, I wanted to be able to go out with friends and family and not feel absolutely exhausted by the end of it. And one day, this is how I got diagnosed. One day, whoa, sorry, the sun's just gone in, it's gone very dark. One day I was experiencing really bad back pain and also chest pain. And I was thinking, like, am I having a heart attack? Because it was so severe and it was coming in like palpitation. No, that's not the word, is it? I was getting palpitations, but it was coming in waves. So I was getting like really severe pain, and then it would go away and then it was coming back. And I was thinking, oh my God, like, I'm having a heart attack at the age of 20. Was I 24 or 25? I was 25. I'm the age that I am now. So Callum took me to A&E. Actually, I think my mum took me to A&E. Callum had been out that night. He'd had some drinks, so he couldn't drive me. So my mum picked him up, then picked me up and took me to A&E. They did like the, I don't know what it's called, when they put the stickers on your chest and monitor your heart. And basically came back that it was fine. They did blood tests and it was fine. They were like, no, you're okay. And I was like, okay, well, like, I'm glad that I'm not having a heart attack, but surely that's not normal. Again, they said it's stress. My nan had recently passed away. They said, you're obviously under a lot of emotional distress. That's probably what it is. Okay, so I've gone away, and literally probably a couple of months later, I had it again. And this time, Callum took me to A&E, and we were waiting, and they said, no, like, this is an issue for the GP, so we'll send you to the emergency GP. So within the hospital, we went to the emergency GP. I said, I've got really bad back pain as well. I'm so tired. Please, like, just do something. Like, tell me something. And he said, oh, it could be your posture. And I was like, yeah, like, my posture's not great, but I can't imagine that it's going to cause this much of a severe pain. And I just kept pushing. I was like, look, I know that something is wrong. I know that something's not right within my body. The way that I'm feeling is not normal. So he said, I will refer you to your GP to have a full blood test, which was the first time I think I've ever had a full blood test. I've never been offered one. I don't know if you can request one, but that was the first time I'd ever been offered a full blood test. Great. So I went to my GP on the day that I was meant to have my blood test. They took quite a lot of blood, actually. I'm pretty sure they took like 3 vials. Bless my brother, he came with me because I'm such a wimp when it comes to needles and blood. Got it done, and the next week I got a phone call from the doctor, or actually I think I might have phoned them just to say like, hi, have my results come back yet? And the woman on the phone, I don't know who I was talking to, but she said, oh yeah, your blood tests come back absolutely fine. Stop worrying, stop worrying. I was like, stop worrying, like, how can I not worry? I just don't feel well. So that was the end of that. I was really disheartened, disappointed. I know that it's a good thing that they came back clear, but I was really sad. I was really disappointed that, again, there were no answers. A few days go by, so I think that was on a Friday. Wednesday comes around and I get a phone call from the doctor's surgery, and it's like the admin lady, and she was like, hi, this is your GP, we need to book you in for a phone appointment like as soon as possible. So I was like, okay. Weird. I thought that it was to do with like being discharged from the GP, because I was moving GPs because of the location. I was still registered at the doctor's that was by my parents. So I was like, oh okay. She booked me in, and then the doctor phones me at that time and says, hi, like, did you get a text from us this morning? And I was like, oh, I don't know, like, I've been working, I think I was away that day at a different office, different location. I was like, oh, I don't know. So I had a look and I said, oh yeah, sorry, I have. She was like, yeah, it's about your blood tests. And I was just like, I've been told my blood test is clear. And she was like, oh. And I instantly then was worrying, like, oh my goodness, like, they found something, is it bad? And she said that she would call me back. So she calls me back and she was like, I'm really sorry, I don't know why you've been told that your blood tests were clear, because they only came back a couple of days ago. I was like, okay. And she said, have you ever heard of celiac disease? I said, I've heard of it briefly, don't really know what it is. She's like, okay, well, we think that you have it. It's where your body reacts to gluten. I was just like, cool, like, that's all my favourite food, honey. So she said, the first blood test has come back indicating that you have celiac disease. We need to wait for the second one to come back because there's 2 parts to this test, and if it's positive, you'll have to be referred to the hospital for an endoscopy. Of course, the second one came back positive, and I was then referred to the hospital for an endoscopy. The endoscopy, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, was the worst. Like, it was the most disgusting, horrible experience of my life. I was sedated and I had the throat spray, and I still was sick. It wasn't nice, but I got it over and done with. I felt very high for like a few minutes. That sedation works quick, by the way. So that was all over and done with, and then I just had to wait for my biopsy. So the endoscopy is where they put the camera down your throat into your small intestine. They said that everything looked fine, but I did ask one of the nurses, I said, can they see celiac just by looking with the camera? And she said no, they'll have to send it off for a biopsy, and they test it and then they'll come back and let you know. But the endoscopy part was fine, like they said everything looked normal down there, it was all okay. So that was good. I then received my letter saying, you have celiac disease, you'll have to go to your GP to be referred to a dietitian, basically good luck. It was a very short and sweet letter. You have celiac disease, goodbye. But the relief that I felt, I can't explain. I just felt so validated. I felt like all these years I haven't been going crazy. There was actually some issue, and it's not easily fixable. I mean, when I actually got off of the phone with my GP when they first told me that I could potentially have celiac disease, I cried, because I was just like, this is such a massive life change. I can't eat really anything that I already eat apart from like veg and things like that. But I was very worried. I was very scared about the changes that I would have to make in my life and how difficult that was going to be. But when I got that letter, I was actually really happy. I was just like, finally, I have an answer. Basically, the only way, there's no cure for celiac disease, by the way. The only thing that you do is go gluten-free for the rest of your life. You just have to avoid gluten, which is easier said than done. But I've sort of got the knack of it now. I'm getting into the routine of it and taking those precautions and all of that kind of stuff. But that is how I got diagnosed with celiac disease. Completely, I wouldn't say completely by accident, because I did go in for like back pain, chest pain, all of that kind of stuff, and I had been complaining about my symptoms for years. But I definitely feel like if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, keep pushing. I literally tell every single person that asks me questions, keep pushing for a diagnosis, because if I hadn't have had that full blood test, like I'd had many blood tests before, but I'm guessing that they were testing for specific things, I'd never had a full blood test. So I always recommend try and get a full blood test and see if there's something going on. And since going gluten-free, I actually feel so much better, so much better. There are days, well, there's not days, it's like occasionally I'll think, oh, I've accidentally been glutened, because it's very difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's very difficult eating out. It's very difficult if you're out and about and you just want to grab a quick snack. It's difficult. I've actually learned to start taking my own snacks with me, just in case I get stuck anywhere or I'm on a long journey, and service stations aren't great for gluten-free. But you start to get to know what you can have. Definitely read the labels all the time if you have celiac disease. Anything that says might contain gluten, I avoid. No thank you. Because I now notice if I've had a little bit of gluten. If I've been glutened or there's been cross-contamination or whatever, I notice it practically instantly and I will feel unwell, and I can now really tell the difference. Yeah, that is my celiac disease story, guys. I really hope that it's helped you. If anyone's watching this and thinking I might have that, I would definitely get checked. There's also another thing that I forgot to mention. When I would eat gluten, and I noticed this when I started eating gluten again, so between the time that I was waiting for my endoscopy and being told that I may have celiac disease, they had told me at the time, go gluten-free. So for 4 weeks I had been gluten-free, and then I got told you need to be eating gluten in the lead up to your endoscopy, otherwise it won't show. So for those 4 or 5 weeks where I was waiting for my endoscopy, I was eating gluten again, and oh, it was rough. I stopped going to the gym because I was so tired again. I felt so unwell, and that was a struggle. But I knew that in the long run it would be worth it, because I just knew I had it. I just knew. I was like, my endoscopy is going to come back, like my biopsy is going to come back, that I have it. I was so sure, and I was telling people, because my family were like, oh, you might not even have it. Callum was like, you don't know yet. And I was just like, I know this is what I have, because the evidence was there. Like, I had all of the symptoms. But when I was eating gluten, I would get a rash. Sometimes, not all the time, but I would get like a rash here on my neck. My face would go so puffy. I would get quite dark circles under my eyes as well, and also they would sometimes go really bloodshot. My face was just so inflamed, because the damage that the gluten is causing when you're celiac is that once you eat that gluten, it obviously travels into the small intestine, but your body then attacks it because it thinks it's a virus. It just, it doesn't like it. So it then attacks your small intestine, which obviously all of your nutrients and stuff are absorbed through there, and you're not absorbing any nutrients. You're malnutritioned, which I didn't really understand this at the time, because I was like, I don't look malnourished. And I think that's why some people don't get diagnosed, because they're overweight rather than underweight, because typically celiacs are seen as underweight and like malnourished. Whereas I don't look like that. I'm not the typical skinny, like really skinny celiac girl. So a lot of people do go undiagnosed because they're just like a normal weight or they're overweight. But just 100%, if you think you have it, please get tested, because a lot of people go undiagnosed, and it's becoming more well known now. And I really want to spread awareness of this, because I know how horrible and lonely and frustrating that journey is. So if you're feeling unwell, you know your body better than anyone. You know if you're feeling unwell. So please get tested. Please try and get a full blood test. Even if you don't think you're celiac but you have some symptoms, just get tested, please. because the difference that I feel now to then is immense. Like, I can't explain to you how much better I now feel, because I have the answer, and I've obviously actively stopped eating gluten, and obviously will for the rest of my life, because I don't want to keep feeling like that. And it's also very bad if you continue to eat gluten and you're celiac. It can cause severe health complications in the future, and I'm not taking that risk. I would rather feel happy, healthy, more awake than eat some pasta when I can eat gluten-free pasta. There's so many alternatives now, guys, and I feel very lucky to be diagnosed in this time rather than in like the 80s or the 90s, because there are some amazing food now that you can get that is gluten-free, dairy-free. So I feel very lucky that I'm diagnosed when things are actually becoming more well known about being gluten-free. So I really hope that this has helped you guys. I really hope it's just even just one person. I really hope that it's helped you. If anyone who is watching this video who is also celiac has any advice for anyone watching, please comment down below. If you have any advice for me that I might not know, please comment it down below, and let's just help each other, because being celiac is it's quite lonely. Even if you've got like a wheat intolerance, it feels quite difficult because you're in a world where gluten is everywhere. Even when I had the flu, I asked Callum to get me some soup because I couldn't eat anything. I had such a sore throat, and he said, okay, that's fine, I'll go and have a look. He rang me when he was there, looking at all these different soups. All I wanted was like a chicken and sweet corn or something, and loads of the ones that he was looking at had wheat in it. Even soup, even like vegetable soups. So it is very difficult. But if anyone needs any advice, I feel like I've got pretty good at it now. So I'm more than happy to answer anyone's questions on this, because it can feel very overwhelming when you first get diagnosed. But I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.